seeking out and finding these grant opportunities. This goes a long way to help move the county forward. So what's your pleasure, Tony?
Sure, I'd move to approve the grant funds as described by the chief and appropriate the revenue and expenditure as requested.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll go to Department of Community Development. He's got several status reports for us tonight. Jack?
The first one is the request for use of golf carts in Potomac Landing subdivision. This was originally a request for sections 1, 2, and 3. The only ones that are actually eligible are those in the state system. And sections 1 and 2 are in the state system. Section 3 are not state maintained. There was a final inspection that was conducted on January 8th. And after that final inspection, the staff determined it's best just to do sections 1 and 2. I'm not sure when section 3 will come in. They would need to come back, though, at that time. I will say that they could use golf carts in that section now because the sheriff only patrols the state maintained roads unless it's requested by the subdivision. So the study area included Potomac Landing State Route 1040, Marine View 1040, Tides Road 1042, and the portion of Potomac Landing Drive designated as 1041. We did a speed study, located the radar at this location because that was the area that the sheriff's office determined would have the greatest speeds. The posted speed limit is 25 miles per hour, which meets the state code requirement. The average speed was 22 miles an hour. The number of vehicle trips per day, according to VDOT traffic counts, is between 70 and 210. What the board looked at previously was making sure that the vehicle trips were less than 500, so they're well below that. The travel lane width between 20 feet and 22 feet. There's plenty of sight distance throughout the subdivision. There was one vehicle accident reported in the last 3 years, and that accident was unrelated to speed. So there's adequate pavement width for golf cart use, pedestrian, and vehicular traffic. There are no lane markings, but these are not new roads. The state code talks about lane markings for new roads, lane markings for a specific golf cart path, but that wouldn't be required in where you have an old section, older roads. If the board desires to proceed, what you would do is hold a public hearing to amend the county code to include those streets in sections 1 and 2, and also enter into an agreement with Potomac Landing. In the agreement, the county would approve the signs, the design form placement of the signs. That's because VDOT holds you responsible for the signage. You would assess the association all the costs incurred by the county resulting from the failure to maintain those signs. And the association would be responsible to seek approval of the county and VDOT for the design, form, and placement of the signage, the installation and maintenance of the signage, be responsible for all costs related to the signage. The agreement would be reported in the land records of the county. The agreement holds the county harmless. The agreement agree that the terms shall be binding on the successors and assigns of the association. That's important because they'll have different president, vice president, different membership over time, but they're still responsible for the maintenance of these signs. Coordinate, operate, and manage all things necessary for inspections and resulting stickers for the golf carts. All the golf carts have to be inspected like a motor vehicle, and they have a sticker. And that the association would bear all costs for the design and the issuance of those licenses. So if the board does want to proceed, your next step would be to authorize staff to advertise a public hearing to amend the county code and add those streets in Potomac Landing within its ordinance allowing golf carts on public roads. Any questions?
Any questions for Jack? What's your pleasure?
Chairman, I would move to authorize staff to advertise a public hearing to amend the county code as Jack has presented. That would also add streets in Potomac Landing within our ordinance, allowing golf carts on those public roads in Potomac Landing.
I just add in simultaneously, we'd add the Fairview Beach streets to get the ordinance up to snuff. Those streets hadn't been formally put in the ordinance, so we can catch that at the same time.
If we can do that in the same motion, that's my amendment, except.
Accept this amendment, Mr. Second there.
Yes.
Great. So the motion's been made and probably seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
The next item is just information on your.
I did have a question for the next steps there. So we had the resolution that's been presented. Do we
That would be
adopt
adopted.
that resolution post-public hearing
Which
Correct.
for
basically,
the ordinance amendment, correct?
Correct.
which one? The resolution actually puts in place the agreement on
Which I'm
terms.
saying with the county and Potomac Landing. All right, so make sure I understood the required sequence of events there.
We could do all that, I think, at the first meeting in April was the plan.
That's what I would recommend. Absolutely.
Got it. Thanks.
The next item is just information on your telecommunication facility requirements. Those structures, there's a definition of those structures. It's any structure designed and constructed primarily for the use of supporting one or more antennas, including self-supporting lattice tower, guide towers, monopoles. The term includes radio, television, transmission towers, microwave towers, common carrier towers, cellular towers, alternate tower structures, and the like. Those uses are allowed in your A2 zoning district, your C1, your C2, your industrial light, and your industrial. The only zoning district that they're not permitted in is that limited agricultural, your A1 zoning district. And I did actually talk to someone from Verizon today that may come and ask you to amend the text to allow them within that zoning district also. I think it's to that point.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it would have been excluded. A1.
Well, it was kind of based on the original study that we had.
Where we looked at where to
The
place
number
it.
of towers.
Yeah.
What's happened is with the digital and the 4G, it requires more data for each of those pieces of equipment, which is requiring the towers to be closer together. Our original study was based on the analog service. They could be about 3 miles apart. There is a couple places in the Shiloh district where even our map showed a little bit of gap in coverage. And that was one of the things we always talked to the telecommunications folks about is, hey, you need to come in and show us that you can't co-locate first. And then if you can't do that, if you show that in your propagation studies, then we can, we'd have something to be able to bring to the board to justify not only a new tower, but any kind of text amendment. And then, in addition, there's the whole section which I included in your package 412, which has all the requirements, and one of those is that co-location requirement that we spoke of.
I think the reason we asked you to bring this, because we did have a citizen who brought it back to us and said, hey, we need to take a look and update this. And I think he's right. We've got TV dish antennas now and the rest of that stuff that's out there. And I think it's probably time to take a look, and it'd be a good time to look at the zoning districts as well. But to take a look at the technology that's in use today and to provide an update and clarification on what we're talking about, because the person with a dish antenna doesn't need to go through anything, he just puts it on.
Right, well, that's an accessory to the home.
And I think you understand that, but reading this, the person reading this could be confused. So I think we just want to tighten it up a little bit, be more explanatory, and take a look and make sure we view it from the lens of new technology and where we are today. Like you say, with 4G, with some of the other techniques that are being employed, you have some folks that are out there putting poles in wherever they want, and that's not what we want to do. So we want to make sure we're looking at things so we have control over where these poles get placed and what constitutes a tower. This pole may not. It's basically a telephone pole with an antenna on it. So you need to take a look at that, and can we?
Well, I was going to say, Mr. Chairman, also coming out of the Tech Advisory Committee, that we're standing up maybe some recommendations regarding the types of antennas and antenna locations that would be important to factor into any ordinance modification. This certainly was targeting cell phone antennas. That's really what this is all about, as the cell industry sprung up, and making sure that significant infrastructure was managed appropriately. And we've all recognized that as we try to expand wireless and other opportunities for broadband, high-speed internet, and other potential comms devices in the future, that we might need some flexibility there. So I think that was the other impetus for bringing this back to us.
So we can do two things here. There are some obvious changes, because the first thing, any structure that is designed and constructed primarily for the purpose of supporting one or more antennas is the definition.
Right.
Well, that satellite dish qualifies. The one I got out in my yard on this 4-foot pole qualifies. It's not on the house.
We can definitely look at the definition.
Yeah, just take a look and look at the A1 as well, but be mindful that it's probably not over, because as we get through this technical advisory committee, we're going to stand up. They may have other recommendations to look at, which will be helpful as we move forward. But this will definitely be one of the input pieces to that committee to look at. And we probably need to have our tower study available for that group as well, so they can understand what our methodology was and how we came about that. Because we didn't jump into it haphazardly. We did take a look, and our goal was coverage of the county from a placement of towers, and not having every vendor have his own tower, which was what we didn't want. So good stuff.
And I did want to update you on the Dahlgren J-Loops. According to the schedule, we completed the grant approval process. The policy committee did select a consulting team. We did have the kickoff meeting with the consultant, who's the matrix design team. They've met with the policy committee and the TAG committee. They've also completed at least the first phase of their information collection. They did not have that first public meeting yet. There is further, we're a little bit behind schedule because we got started a little bit slower. We tried to start in July around the holidays, moved that back. We're about a month behind the schedule, I think. The Technical Advisory Committee is meeting March 10th in this room, 10 a.m. The Policy Committee will meet March 25th at the University of Mary Washington Dahlgren campus at 4. And that first public meeting that was to be held in February will be held March 25th at the University of Mary Washington Dahlgren campus at 7 p.m.
So we sure hope March goes out like a lamb and we don't see any more snow.
It would have been hard to get it accomplished in February.
I think you would have been stretched.
Also wanted to update you on the stormwater management ordinance. I provided you the DEQ schedule, which has the locality implementation by July 1st, 2014. The Virginia legislature is looking at amending the code. They're amending it so that non-MS4 localities, which King George is a non-MS4 locality, would have the ability to opt in or allow DQ to act as the VSMP authority. The locality is still required to review all the plans in compliance with the new requirements. There's a provision to create an agreement in lieu of plan for single-family dwellings, which has the capacity to take some of that burden off the homeowner. It's an option similar to the erosion sediment control program, where staff prepares the plan. I'm not positive how, because the erosion sediment control plan for a single-family home is very easy to design, whereas the stormwater regulations require stormwater calculations to meet the requirements that the staff should not do, and we don't do for erosion sediment control. If it's required for that, they have to get an engineer. So it may be helpful. DQ obviously has not outlined how that would work at this time because the legislature is still being considered. A good thing is that there would not require a registration statement or a fee for single-family home construction. So that removes some of the burden. It also provides a mandatory requirement that localities accept BMPs that have been approved in other states. And I've already started doing that, recognizing that this is going to come forward. And then permit applicant or permit holder aggrieved. The bill allows for an appeals to be conducted in accordance with the local appeals procedure. Our program was to be adopted as part of the zoning ordinance. We were using the Board of Zoning Appeals to hear all appeals from zoning determinations. So that legalizes that requirement or that process. The one thing that I will do, the Planning Commission, I want to stay on track as if you're going to adopt the ordinance. The Planning Commission is going to hold their public hearing in March, next Tuesday. I would like I'm not sure if they'll act on it at that meeting or not, but I would like to schedule your public hearing and have the board's public hearing on that ordinance at the appropriate time. You would not have to adopt it after that public hearing, but at least you would be in position in case that requirement stays there, or you do choose to there is an opt-in provision and you choose to opt in. The erosion sediment control ordinance has a similar opt-in, opt-out procedure. We opt in with erosion sediment control because it's much easier for staff to administer that versus making someone go to Tappahannock or Warrington to get that permit. It may be similar with the VSMP permit, but it may not be. It may be that it's easier. It may be that it operates the same way that it does now. If they send that general registration statement in, they do that online. The state is the VSMP authority, and we just continue to review the plans the way that we do now. I'm not sure which is going to work, but I do want you to be in a position to be able to adopt it if you're required to. I don't want to put you in a bad position.
No, I think that's a good plan to go through the process, and we can hold adoption in lieu of finding out what the final regulations will be after the General Assembly completes their business. I think that's a good plan.
We did have some discussion on this at the GWRC meeting. It was the planner from Stafford was the one who delivered the presentation. But basically what he presented was the General Assembly is still up in the air on where this is going to end up. So the information that he did present was essentially what Jack has talked to us about prior, relative to fee structure and things like that. So I'm not sure other localities were as up to speed as we were regarding this. But he's tracking. They're tracking. The Stafford planners tracking the legislation for the GWRC, but it all tracked to what Jackie presented here to us. I don't remember anything different than what we knew from here already.
No, but they were estimating something like $30 million.
To operate their program?
In costs over, how many years?
Which is why it will cost in the thousands for a single
Right.
family homeowner to
See, they were in.
build their own lane and put in a driveway and do
They
whatever.
have to be in.
They have to, but for some reason,
Or MS4.
well, for some reason, at that meeting, it was told that it was
Spotsy.
Pennsylvania is out,
Spotsy is
even though they're in MP4.
Yeah, I don't.
Somehow or another, they
I
got
only
it.
know King George. I don't know how.
I know.
yeah, there's some debate about whether Spotsy is in it.
Yeah, it was just an interesting discussion at GWRC.
Yeah, well, it's because.
They're not.
Millions of dollars in play.
You're right. It's because of the partnership that they have.
Right.
They don't operate it.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you're right.
They're part and part not.
yes.
They really technically are not the permit holder on an MS4 facility.
Right.
That's the difference,
Right.
and that's why they say they're out.
But Stafford is in, I think, yeah, they're in. And it may be better for us, maybe better for King George. It just depends on how.
I think we've got to look at what comes out of the state general assembly, because you want to have something that is workable for the developer, construction, single-family home person, something that we can
Yeah,
get
independent of
done.
whether the program's better or not, it's not good, it's not, in my opinion, it's not good for the citizens and where it's going.
Right.
The cost burden on the citizens is gonna be significant, and I think, I understand what they're trying to do. I mean, General Assembly and the state, the DEQ are responding to EPA, and where we're having to go with bay cleanup and all of that. So I understand the response, and there may not be a better mechanism, but this will be costly to the citizens.
Yeah,
As
one
you
way or
well
another.
presented, I mean, you did a great job of capturing this in your earlier presentation.
But I think his approach to have us in a position, should it fall back on us, we'll be able to make a decision on opting in or opting out. We'll have more information at that point in time. And if we don't go in, we're just that much more knowledgeable about the program, and we'll be able to articulate it to citizens who are having to deal with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
With
With all the concerns I have about the program, you really may not have an option. I mean,
That's what I'm
we're
saying.
being directed to follow this path, and that's one of the interesting nuances of operating in a dual enroll state. You ready for a motion, Mr. Chairman? Yeah, with that,
I don't think we need a motion on this.
well, we gotta schedule the hearing, right?
Well, you just.
No, at this point, we gotta wait.
Authorize the staff to advertise it at the appropriate time. That's all.
You wanted it now, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I want the authorization so that.
You want the authorization so that we need to move, if and when we need to move, he's already authorized to do so.
He's going through planning commission, he doesn't know when they're gonna act.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we're not signing us up for anything now, other than giving you the authority to have advertise a public hearing so that we can be prepared to act. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would move to authorize staff to proceed with scheduling a public hearing on the draft ordinance relative to the Virginia Stormwater Management Program as has been presented. As required by the VSMP adoption schedule. Is that an appropriate way to frame that?
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries. County Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since Chief Moody's here, I'm going to let Chief come up and tell you a little bit about the first item I had. This has to do with a used command vehicle, but I think we got a pretty good deal for the Chief and his staff on this vehicle.
Good evening once again. Under this first item, this was a pretty unique opportunity that presented itself probably about a month ago. And if you may recall, last year in capital improvements request, we had put in, I think it was like $65,000 request for replacement of a mobile command vehicle. This is the incident command vehicle that responds to all of the major incidences throughout the county. Currently, we're using a 2005 Ford Explorer. It's served us well. It's one of the smaller Ford Explorers before they started getting larger. But it's been running into some maintenance issues, and it's time for replacement. We also added this item into this year's budget request, or next year's budget request, for $60,000. We have been presented with the unique opportunity of buying a used vehicle, and I have been diligently looking at some other options to replace this vehicle, and I believe it's in your board packet. You have a picture of the vehicle.
Yes, sale brochure, right?
There's, this vehicle is currently in New Jersey, and it's with the rescue squad that has run into some financial constraints, and they need to sell this. And we are requesting to use no general fund dollars and to use some funds that we have and a Office of EMS 4 for Life grant, and also the Virginia Department of Fire Programs aid locality funds to purchase this vehicle in the amount of $32,500. This vehicle, the way you see it currently in that brochure, it's about $65,000 invested. It's a 2012 Chevrolet Tahoe. It has been upfitted by PL Custom, so it has a number of unique features and cabinetry that we would install in there, emergency lighting, etc. We feel that it would certainly save us probably in excess of $25,000 with going with this used option. I think that the mileage of the vehicle is right around 15,000. So it has low mileage and never been involved in an accident and has been maintained as.
Have we looked at the unit? Have we laid eyes on the unit, or is it just the?
Have not, plan on doing that this week. Before we would render payment, it would be a full
It looks like it was up for auction, basically.
Yeah, did we bid on it?
They took some unofficial bids. It wasn't an official public auction. There was some non-official, because it wasn't a governmental agency.
So you know it's available.
It's available, yes.
At that price.
That's correct.
I think, it sounds like a smart way to go. Assuming that we actually get up there and get to do an inspection on it.
Sure wasn't like one of the flood deals.
Right. I mean, I think you'd want to make sure you bring it to some mechanic or have a mechanic go with you to go take a look at this thing and give it the once over.
The vehicle's still under warranty, so there is all that would be transferred, but yes, certainly agree that, doing a full inspection and getting all the maintenance records, and, if that's not available, or the red flags when I send a crew up there, and, it's not going to work out, but it could, the way it's presented, it certainly could save us around $25,000 to $30,000 with going with this option.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you explained how come it's for sale helped me.
I had the same question, especially being in the area of New Jersey with, I think I just heard Mr. Sisson mention about, it had flood damage. But
Yeah.
I asked that same question, that, to make sure it didn't have any Hurricane Sandy damage from any form, or if it had been involved in an accident. But it's, the more information I gather from it, it's because of some financial constraints of, that their economy is facing up there right now.
Travis, do you have any input for us?
No, I've asked the chief to be here tonight. He was here anyway, so I thought it'd be an opportunity for him to provide a better explanation of what has occurred.
So is there action required on our part for you to?
It's not. I can approve this. It's subject to their inspection.
Good. Sounds good.
All right, the next item I had was appointments to the Technology Advisory Committee. I think we should wait till you have a full board here to deal with that issue and make the appointments. In your package, I included a article from Virginia Tech regarding bringing high-speed internet to homes and businesses in rural Virginia. We did contact Virginia Tech and offered King George County as if they wanted to do a test case. Also today provided you information regarding workshops that are being put on by the Center of Innovative Technology through Virginia. We will attend that workshop, and we probably also should provide this information to the Technology Advisory Committee.
And those folks from Tech I know well.
Oh, good.
I actually work with them closely in my day job, so I know they're aware of King George and as well. The Wireless Institute of Tech is having a lot of success in a lot of different areas.
The next item, just a press release regarding the Virginia Department of Emergency Management statewide tornado drill. That's on March the 11th. And Mr. Brooks asked me to report that his town hall meeting will be March the 17th at Shiloh Baptist Church in the Family Life Center. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.